Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network.
Good day to you. This is Sir Patrick Moore, and you're listening to the Paranormal UK Radio Network, the UK's biggest paranormal radio network, and this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
Right, I've got a fantastic guest for you tonight. It's his name's William Pullin, and it's going to be all about UFOs. Are you there, William? I'll introduce you now, and hopefully we can get straight into it.
David, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks for coming on. I'm pleased to have you, William. I mean, as you know, we've been friends on Facebook for probably a couple of years at least now. We've been watching each other, what's been going on, and but now finally talking to you for the first time, and I'm pleased for it, and hopefully it'll carry on.
I'm at your service. It's a distinct pleasure to finally hear your voice, sir. So, yeah good time.
Anyway, I'm going to say to the listeners out there, you might hear an improvement in my audio equipment. On my last show, apparently there was a lot of problem with the sound, but I've invested in a new microphone and recorder, so hopefully things will be a lot better this time. Anyway, I should go straight into this now and say, how did you originally become interested in the subject of UFOs, William?
Well, I grew up as a young fellow watching sci-fi, things like that, movies and television. And I really didn't have an opinion about the UFO issue. I guess I was kind of a hardened skeptic, but then I got into my university studies in my 20s, and I thought, I should really look into this just to see if there's anything to it. And I think I was about 22 at the time. And I spent a summer in Roswell, looking through everything they had to offer at the museum there. And I changed my mind. I'm still a skeptic, but I'm aware that something's going on. Nobody has the answers. It fascinates me. And ever since then, I've been pretty obsessed with it. So.
Yeah, you've got to start out as a skeptic, haven't you? You can't just believe everything that's thrown at you, because there's so much rubbish on Facebook, or not just Facebook, on YouTube and everything, online. And probably 90% of it's rubbish.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, Roswell's a fantastic. I've only been there once, to be honest. It went to the museum, because obviously it's a long way away from here. But yeah, it's an interesting place. But I think you go there quite regularly, don't you?
I do. I end up going there about 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good place to just. The museum, not the museum, but the library they have attached to the museum. It's a great source of info, files, magazines. Books, sighting reports, you name it. So I love diving into that and just exploring.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, you came across a few books, didn't you, the other day? Somebody gave you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a dear friend on Facebook, I think he lives in the northern part of the States, and he's letting go of some of his books, which is something I would never do.
No, that's always good, isn't it? Yeah, I know what you mean.
He's comfortable with it, and I said, well, they'll find a safe place here. So he used the mail, the snail mail here in the States, and mailed me about 13 books or 13 pieces of literature. So I have yet to touch any of them, but I will by the time the summer comes. So
yeah, it's fantastic. I saw that some of them were quite collectible, aren't they? I mean, they're quite rare, some of them.
I am in his debt. Yeah. He's a fine man.
Have you actually seen a UFO yourself, or think you may have done, or?
No, I've never seen anything or experienced anything out of the ordinary. I never have.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm completely convinced that something's going on, but I myself have never seen anything. So
right.
I'm always fascinated by listening to people who have experienced something. It gives me a point of view I don't have. So
yeah, I mean, I saw one. I don't know if you know this story, but I saw one in I think it was 66 or 67 here in the UK in Essex. It was going across the night sky. It was like a large oval orange object, silent. And I was watching it for probably a good 10 minutes. And it gave me kind of a peaceful feeling watching it, if you can understand that. But, yeah, it was definitely something weird. I mean, back in 66, 67, I think it was 67, because I was walking home from my girlfriend's house at the time. And, yeah, probably about 1 o'clock in the morning, it was dark. And there's this orange object going across the sky. So, what that was, I really don't know.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I would love to experience something like that. Perhaps if I shuffle off this planet, I'll see one, but, nothing so far, so.
Yeah, well, you've got to keep your eyes open, you never know. And,
yep, you gotta keep looking up. Everyone looks down. Here in the States, everybody looks down at their phones.
Yeah, I know.
They never look up. I'm like, okay, how you gonna see a UFO if you don't look up?
Yeah.
But listens to me, so, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, before that, I'll give you another little story. I know it's supposed to be your show, but I'll just tell you a couple of my little stories as well. I was living in London as a child. I grew up in London. And, when I was about 8 years old, I was sitting on my steps at home, looking up at the stars, and suddenly I'm watching a star move and stop and move and stop. Now, this would have been around about 1958. So, what the hell that was, I've always wondered. Because back then I just thought, oh, it's a star moving, you know. And, so I really don't know what that was. I know now that stars don't do that. So what that was, I don't know.
It's interesting that people experience things and they may write it off as a star or a comet or what have you, but as they get older and more knowledgeable, they realize they saw something that wasn't what they thought it was.
Yeah.
And like you just said, you thought it was a star and now you're convinced it probably wasn't, and who knows what it was, but that's interesting how enough time gives you a different point of view.
Yeah. Oh, it's always stuck in my mind. I mean, stars don't move and stop and move and stop, you know, and it was definitely doing that in a downward motion. So what that was, I don't know.
It doesn't sound natural to me.
Yeah, I know.
So, no.
I mean, what motivates you? What keeps you going to be involved in this field? Because you know there's a lot of frauds and stuff going on, and it's a little bit disheartening sometimes, isn't it, when you find out about some of the fraudery that goes on, if that's a word.
No, that's a good term. You know, I just want to know the answers. I am very comfortable saying that I don't know the answers, and I'm always searching for them. It's almost like you have to weed out the crap, pardon my French.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
From these frauds and charlatans and these cases that are hoaxed to find the cases that are legitimate. But it's worth the effort because there's a core of cases that are unexplained and challenge a scientific mind. I'm kind of a grounded guy, so I like seeing evidence. But it's fascinating to interview people and hear their testimony, and it gets my mind thinking, okay, what did they see? They saw something that they can't explain, and the majority of those people are pretty regular, they're average individuals. They just want an answer. They really don't. They're not enamored with their aliens. They just want to know what they saw.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Most of those people that are really genuine, they're not looking for stardom or anything. That really, a lot of them don't like to tell the story because they'll get made a fool of usually. I mean, I know how that feels because when I was telling my little stories, you know, you think, oh, maybe I should just shut up. You know?
Yeah, ridicule is a huge deal. Maybe a little less so nowadays, but I might be wrong saying that, but yeah, it's troublesome. Somebody experiences something and they're afraid to talk about it because they're afraid of being laughed at, and that's a horrible feeling. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, to my mind, it's ridiculous to think there aren't any aliens. Whether they're actually coming here is another matter, but I think they probably are, and I believe, you know, that's my belief anyway. I mean, the trouble is you can't prove it, can you? You can only think what you've seen. You know, I don't know what your feeling is on that.
I'm with you there. I mean, the number of stars and planets we found, if you extend that to the known universe, the numbers kind of dictate the chances of us being alone in the entire universe are pretty much zero.
Absolutely. Yeah.
the issue is being able to prove if any have come here. And my personal position is I think alien visitation has occurred, but I don't think it's anywhere near as common as what's portrayed in the UFO community. But it's impossible to prove.
No.
But I believe it's happened. So, but I'm with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what about the ancient aliens theory? How do you go with that?
I don't know. I'm afraid that some of the researchers, because there's megalithic structures or things that they can't explain or things that have been built and there's no evidence as to who built them, they immediately make the jump to alien as opposed to being more cautious and thinking, okay, the further back in time you go, the less evidence there is of anything. So it's hard to nail down one theory. My gut tells me the majority of these things are built by humans. We just don't know enough about our own history to explain them. But I mean, there's no reason why not. I mean, there's no evidence against it, but I think, I'm a very cautious guy. So my gut tells me it's not alien, but there's always a possibility. I'm not, I don't really get into that kind of side genre of UFO research too much. Maybe I'm turned off by all the TV shows about it, but I don't know. But I'm
I do find them fascinating. I have to say myself.
Ancient aliens comes to mind, but they've been on like a million years. So
yeah. I think the good thing about those programs, at least they give you some good aerial shots of the areas and like the ancient monuments and everything like that, and to see them from the air is fantastic. Places that you'd never be able to get the chance to go to yourself.
That's true. Yeah. I have good college friends that have done quite a bit of traveling overseas. The things that they've seen things in person I've not. And I always envy them because they've seen a lot of these. My best friend from college went to Machu Picchu in South America. Yeah. And he said it was gorgeous. It was awe inspiring. And all I've seen is pictures. I've never been there. So I envy his experience. And you're right. The TV show does gives individuals an opportunity to see these things, at least on a screen. Yeah. Where they may not ever make it there in their lives. So that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it actually makes you think anyway, doesn't it? Even if maybe some of the things you're seeing are not maybe accurate, but it does make you think about the possibilities from thousands of years ago, and to think of life out there, that there's life out there that's probably been there for millions of years in advance of us, and it certainly makes. I mean, to be honest, the first thing that made me start thinking about I don't know, life out in space was actually Chariots of the Gods, the Eric von Daniken. That was one of the first, one of the earliest books I read.
Thinking is always good. I mean, those shows at least, and those shows and those books make you think about possibilities, and then critical thought is always a good thing. And going back to the direct UFO issue, if people can use critical thought, like you said, if it gets them thinking in a kind of a common sense way, you allow those things that are really out there that are obviously hoaxes and are obviously fake. If you just apply some common sense, those things are kind of cast aside. But people don't think enough, I think.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I've got to say, when you start reading a lot of that and reading things in the Bible and stuff, there are UFO events reported in the Bible that really make you think.
Yeah, it makes you think of that. But the troublesome thing for someone like me is I'm always wanting to research cases, but the further back you go in time, the harder it is.
Yeah, it's all been buried. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's virtually impossible to prove something that happened 70 years ago, much less 3,000. So, but the stories are interesting, and there's a lot of these religious texts have stories of events that sound like something flying. It sounds like a powered craft, and it may not be, but it's interesting stories nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely.
What's that story Bible? The Ezekiel.
Yeah, with the wheels within wheels. Yeah, it's quite fascinating. I always find it fascinating anyway. But, I was thinking about, why do you think there's so much division in the UFO world? There's, a lot of people, I know there's a lot of, there seems to be so many arguments going on nowadays about, who believes in what and, who believes what is true and everything. And it seems to be, I don't know if it's always been like that, but it does seem to be more divisive nowadays.
Just a little. Yeah, you're spot on about that. It seems like, everyone has their own positions, and they kind of get pigeonholed in their positions when they're challenged as to, okay, how did you arrive at this position? If somebody asked them a question, how did you come to this conclusion? A lot of people don't really know why they believe something. They just kind of heard it in a book, or they saw a DVD, or they saw an interview, and then they kind of double down. Yeah. It's become very polarized. Here in the States, the political scene is horrible. It's very polarized. People don't talk to each other. And in the UFO community, it's kind of the same way. I mean, I was raised to be a gentleman. I can agree to disagree. I can have a cordial discussion with somebody. They believe something totally different. But at the end of the day, we're still friends. We can discuss things and just say, okay, you think that, I think this. We'll just move on. Yeah,
that's the way it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be like that. But, it's very polarized. I don't know why it started. It's progressively getting worse, I think, sometimes, and it becomes, it gets to the point where people conduct themselves horribly. They call each other names. It becomes very childish. I'm thinking, okay, these people are grown adults. They're not 12 years old.
Yeah.
But, it's unfortunate it does get like that.
Yeah.
As to why, I have no idea, David, why it's like this.
Well, you get to the point where all you're doing is you're asking a question that doesn't quite sound right, and you want to know more about it, and then you start getting insults and swearing thrown at swear words thrown at you. And you think, well, what the hell's going on here? And they don't seem to want to answer the question that you're asking. They just want to basically just insult you and throw swear words at you. Yeah, and I know you've seen some of it on your websites, haven't you?
Yeah, I keep my websites under control. Yeah, the rules are there for a reason. That way, whether it's you or I or anybody else can actually talk about their experience without fear of being ridiculed. Yeah. That's a huge deal for me. I keep it under control. And when I created the group, it's actually going to be the 4-year anniversary on the 7th of this month of my group existing. I didn't have the rules written at first, but then with enough time watching everything else that was happening on Facebook and other social media sites, I thought, I need rules, otherwise this will get out of control. Somebody will be in the group and they'll start acting crazy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to happen. So,
I know you actually kicked somebody off the other day, didn't you? Because they made a comment about me and the show.
Somebody made a comment on my personal blog I wasn't really crazy about because they made some personal comments about two friends of mine. Okay, I don't tolerate that. I'm sorry. It's time to be an adult. So I just banned them from the page and I made a post about who exactly it was and just moved on. I mean, you can't control someone's behavior, so.
Yeah, well, sometimes these people, I mean, that person certainly didn't know me, and whether it knew, we can say the name, it was Peter Robbins, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Whether he knows anything about him, and to actually call him a fraud, I think was quite, outrageous, to be honest.
And it was. It was, I simply shared, on your personal blog, you were advertising the program that you have when you were interviewing Peter.
That's right. And that's all it was, wasn't it? Yeah, there was nothing else to.
Yeah. Not at all. I made no comment at all. I said I was just sharing your advertisement to increase viewership or listening viewers, to your program. And he came out with a lewd comment about yourself and Peter. I thought, okay, well, I wouldn't tolerate that about anybody.
Well, he certainly doesn't know me. I know that for a fact. Because I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, it was uncalled for. So, okay, I'll just ban him. Yeah. It's one thing to say something about someone you don't know, and that's unfortunate. But he said something about two good friends. I'm like, okay, well, that's not gonna flow with me. So, yeah, bye bye.
Yeah, unfortunate. There's a few nutcases like that around.
A few, So, yeah.
So, there's something else that I always think about is I wonder why the Western world come to wire up the simple act of somebody reporting what they'd observed about an unidentified flying object with their being seen as an attention seeker, a mystic, a hoaxer, or a true believer, or if they're mentally ill or a fame seeker. Well, what do you think about that? Do you think they're people get labelled too easily?
Yes, I think part of that is because the media here in the States does not treat the UFO issue seriously.
Well, they don't here either.
Yeah, and at least here, when someone reports a UFO, they get labeled. You know, they think, okay, well, how much does this guy have to drink? Was he out with his girlfriend? What political party does he belong to? None of those things matter, but they label these people and they belittle them. They don't take it seriously, as opposed to thinking, okay, this is simply an individual that saw something they can't explain. They don't treat it like that. They treat it, they character assassinate that person. That was official procedure set by the Air Force and the government back in the 50s here in the States.
Yeah.
And since then it's as it continued to this day, it probably has to a certain extent, but then it became so common in the everyday environment here in the States. Now it just happens everywhere. It's unfortunate because again, it influences people. It makes people not want to report what they saw. And so as an investigator or a historian like myself, the data you have available to you is kind of stunted because you wonder, okay, how many sighting reports actually how many sightings are actually reported? And my personal thought is I think less than 20%. Of sightings are actually reported, which is crazy. So any data you have is on some level incomplete because of that.
And the thing is, you're talking about just in the States. I mean, but obviously there's thousands of reports all over the world, isn't there? Every day. Well, I don't know about every day thousands, but there's certainly an awful lot every day.
Yes, all over the world. You know, I mean, the vast majority are not extraterrestrial, I would think. But
no, you're right. There's a lot of mistaken identities.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, some maybe, and if there's even one that's potentially extraterrestrial and it doesn't get reported, that's a huge loss. I mean, that's something we want to hear about. But it's having lived here in the States my entire life, I only know what it's like here. But it's the way the media portrays the UFO issue here in the States is pretty sorry. They're pretty speculative affairs.
Do you think that's still driven by the Air Force and they're supposed to be secret governments and stuff like that?
I don't think so. I think that might have been policy back then, but as time has gone on, it's become human nature. It's become
it's been put into your psyche, hasn't it, to make it that it's all rubbish. Yeah,
it is. So it's become common here. It's kind of like the disinformation scenario. The government / military was engaged in that to some extent back a few decades ago. But now there's no need for that because there are people in the community that believe so many things. They believe everything.
Yeah.
There's no need for disinformation. We do it to ourselves.
Yeah. And I think with all the fake, that's the problem with all the fake DVD videos and things that you see on YouTube. We kind of drive it down ourselves, don't we? If you're in ufology, you get people out there faking UFOs. What's the point of doing that? You're just ruining the whole thing for yourself. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what there is to gain. I mean, I don't know anybody who's gotten rich making fake UFO videos. I don't know.
No, I know. I don't get it. I mean, and also, we talk about UFOs being extraterrestrial. There could be like the interdimensional aspect of it as well. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, all possibilities are on the table. I think they're extraterrestrial, but I might be wrong. But there's several theories that seem to explain some aspects of the phenomenon. They seem to explain some parts of the data we have, but not completely. So I believe in the extraterrestrial theory, but what may turn out to be some combination of all these theories may explain it in the end. But it's kind of like what did in literature, Sherlock Holmes is credited as saying that once you've investigated a scenario once you've eliminated all the possibilities, whatever's left is the explanation. But again, you can't prove it. We don't have a piece of a ship. We don't have a body. So we can eliminate, okay, it wasn't a weather balloon. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't atmospheric phenomenon. It wasn't a misidentified helicopter. And so if you eliminate those from a case and extraterrestrial is still on the table, it's a possibility. Yeah. So a lot of these theories may hold a lot of water. I guess we don't know yet, but it's a possibility.
Were you a believer in the alien autopsy when it was around?
No, sir.
Ever? Not ever? Because I got to admit, for a while.
When I first saw it, it was aired here in '95 on the Fox network, and I didn't know what to think when I first saw it. But I watched it a few more times after that. I ended up buying it on VHS.
Yeah, me too.
That's how old it is, VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And after a while I watched it, I thought, okay, the way the autopsy looked, the way the procedure was done wasn't very accurate. And the guy that brought the film to the public, he was unwilling to allow any pieces of it to be examined. So I after about 3 or 4 times watching it, I thought, this looks more like a hoax.
Yeah.
I just had a thinking feeling in my stomach, oh, that's a hoax. Yeah. And, I believe that to this day. But it was fascinating watching. It was on national TV.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty clever. I mean, I know Spiros, actually. I'm hoping to get him on the show in a month or so. Spiros Milaris. The man who actually did the hoax. But there's still people out there that believe it's real, don't you?
Just a few. Yeah.
And they believe that he's a government plant, sort of just giving the story out that's false.
Yep. Yeah, they believe it hook, line, and sinker. So.
They're still out there.
Yes, they are. Whoever they are, they're out there. Yeah. The dreaded they. The unknown, yeah.
We were talking about the Air Force and everything, and so, well, they're making everyone look foolish in the UFO. But how do you feel about the disclosure movement? How do you feel it's going towards this?
My gut tells me that there's no motivation for the government or the military to disclose anything, whatever they have. I just don't think they'll ever disclose anything. I think it's up to individuals to try to find as much out about it as they can. But I don't think the official organizations or governments, I don't think they'll ever really do anything other than release their files.
Yeah, do you not think they've already actually disclosed to a certain extent by releasing so many files to the public? And if you dig deep enough, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there, isn't there? It's like I was talking the other day. It's like hiding a tree in the woods. It's just finding it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, the British government, they released the files over the course of the last, I guess, 10, 15 years. And there's fascinating cases contained in them. You just have to take the time to look through them, and there's thousands of files in cases, but there's a lot of data in them. So I guess that's a form of disclosure.
Yeah.
I just don't know if a military leader or a political leader will actually hold a press conference and say, okay, we saw this occurred, this in this year, we had contact, or I don't think something like that would happen. But certainly some level of disclosure is happening because the governments are giving their files, they're releasing them to the public, which has not occurred here in the States. And I don't see that ever happening here. But
right, I thought they had released a lot over there. I know you got the Blue Book ones, which were all a public exercise anyway, weren't they? But I thought, I thought they'd released a lot, but obviously they haven't.
Blue Book. Those files have been out since the mid '70s, and you're right. It was an exercise. It really wasn't a legitimate investigative effort, except for a short time in the 50s.
Yeah, because everything went to a different position. They put the ones out that they could answer, most of them, or everything that they couldn't answer went somewhere else.
Yeah, so I went to Air Materiel Command and some other, I guess we'll say organizations within the military. So yeah, the Blue Book files are, again, they portray a picture because the Air Force wanted to explain the UFO issue. So clearly the cases which were explainable were allowed to go into the Blue Book system. But other cases that are stronger aren't there and have yet to be really released in any way. So yeah, so it's been kind of partial. I mean, the Blue Book is out there, Grudge is out there, Project Sign is out there for the public to look at. But the real stronger cases that weren't allowed to be in Blue Book, those are not released. So, and I guess those are the ones I'm referring to. I don't think those will ever see the light of day.
Yeah. Which says a lot for itself, really, doesn't it? Why aren't they releasing them?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got any advice for people considering conducting their own investigations, UFO investigations in the field? I know there's not a lot of advice you can give people, but I think a lot of it is just to stick to it, isn't it? Because it can be quite disheartening.
Yes, it can be. I think I like to refer to what law enforcement does. An ideal law enforcement investigation doesn't go into a case with some preconceived notion. They simply look for the evidence. They try to gather as much evidence as they can in the proper way and garner first-hand testimony and physical evidence. And then whatever that evidence proves or shows or leads you to, you go with that. I think a lot of times in the UFO field, the investigators have a preconceived idea. They have a bias as to what may have happened, and they approach a case with that bias. And I think, and that occurs, and David, like you said, you just keep your nose to the grindstone. You keep pushing.
Yeah.
It may get frustrating. It gets tiring. It's a never-ending process. And you come across a lot of cases that are mundane and explainable, and you really see nothing really outstanding in your work. But you got to keep pushing, because sooner or later you'll find one. Sooner or later there's a case that's unexplained. And yeah, keep pushing. That's I guess that's the best advice.
Yeah, because it seems to me a lot of people go out on these sky watches expecting they're actually going to see something, and
that seems to be the case. Yeah, they're expecting to see something.
Yeah. It probably happens a lot in the States as well. I know you see little clips and things. In fact, you did a sky watch a while back, didn't you? Because we had someone come over from the UK, actually. I can't think of his name now. He's one of our presenters. And I remember seeing you on the telly, and I sent you a picture of you on the television.
Yeah, I apologize to British television for showing my ugly mug. But no, it was a sky watch after a field trip that was conducted by the local Houston MUFON chapter. Yeah. They've gone out. We went out to explore the Cash Landrum sighting area. And that case happened in 1980, actually the same weekend as the sightings in Rendlesham Forest, same weekend.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we did a little excursion there, came back, there was food and drinks, and we just going to have a sky watch, and this gentleman who is a celebrity in Great Britain, I don't know his name either.
No, I can't I'll think of it in a minute. Bradley Walsh, his name was, that's right.
Okay. And, he sat down with us with a group of about 20 people. They were just asking questions, and it was a fun occasion. And I didn't get to stay with the Skywatch. I had to work the next morning, so I had to skedaddle back to San Antonio. But it was fascinating hearing there were different points of view.
Yeah.
So it was an ideal night because it was clear as a bell that night. But
yeah,
I don't know if they saw anything.
Yeah, he was there with his son. They made a short series about them travelling across the USA, so doing little silly things and stuff.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, They arrived pretty late. They arrived I think it was 11:30.
Yeah, I think they got lost or something.
They did. They got lost. Yeah, it was pretty late. It was everybody was kind of wearing down, and then they arrived at 11:30 p.m. local time, and everyone's energy level kind of picked up, and they kept going.
Yeah. So everyone was about to go to sleep, and they turned up.
Pretty much. Yeah. And where the Skywatch was kind of on the outskirts of Houston, and it was kind of hard to find the spot. So It wasn't a stretch to imagine they got lost. It was, I figured they would. So
yeah,
that's what happened. Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy city for driving, isn't it, Houston? Wow. I mean,
yeah, it's more stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the outskirts of Houston extend about 30 miles.
Oh well, yeah, I know. When I was there, all the freeways and the overpasses, underpasses, and it's so easy to get lost, and you end up on the wrong road. You've had it.
It's horrid. It's outrageous. Yeah, if a UFO crashed in downtown Houston, there's no way they could cover it up. Yeah, but again, that doesn't happen. So yeah. What do you think?
What do you think the most the biggest challenges facing UFO research today? Is it trying to wade through all the bullshit? I suppose, really, isn't it? It's
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It's. I mean, it's. The UFO community needs to be looked at in a positive light, and right now, at least here in the States, it's viewed as like a pseudoscience. It's not taken seriously. And that's a result of all the hucksters and charlatans and hoaxing going on.
Yeah.
That's why it looked like that. So that's one struggle. The other struggle is there's a shortage of investigators.
The good ones, yeah.
Yeah, all the thousands of sightings that are reported in the States or around the world, there's not enough investigators to research all of them. I would think some really good cases are falling through the cracks. And another aspect that would help us would be if we were treated in a more legitimate light by the scientific community. Yeah. That would be a big deal. But none of those things have happened yet. So I guess we're all pushing toward that. Yeah. We're working for that.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel there's too many kind of, I don't really want to call them entertainers, but I know that they are called entertainers in the UFO world when they go on and just do all the talks and things, when they could be doing some really good investigative work. And I think a lot of it, they're probably just relying on the internet themselves a lot of the time.
Agreed. Yeah. UFOtainment. I have my good friend Ray Spivey, who's in my group. He calls it UFOtainment. When these television programs are put together and they portray the UFO phenomenon with a script and a screenplay, and it's not portrayed in a accurate, factual light. And then you have shows like Ancient Aliens, UFO Files, which have some information in them, but the vast majority is just kind of speculative and in some way it helps. I mean, the new show Project Blue Book on History Channel, it may get people interested in the UFO issue, but the show itself does not portray the events accurately.
No.
So there is a double-edged sword. It really is. But I guess if it gets one or two people involved in investigations, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But you have to view it. You have to view it like, okay, this is just a TV show. This is not real events.
I haven't seen that yet because it hasn't hit the UK shores yet. But well, officially anyway, I think there's been a few illegal copies floating about. But yeah,
I imagine that.
But I'm looking forward to seeing that at some point. I was always a great fan of the X-Files and things like. That's why I can't understand why it's not taken more seriously, you know, because the X-Files was quite a serious program, and people took it seriously, and yet then when you talk about the real cases, they kind of take the mickey out of it, you know. It's that's what I don't quite understand.
I don't know. I mean, the X-Files was a good TV show. It was well written. Again, it wasn't accurate to facts for cases that may have been written into a screenplay, but it was a serious drama. But you're right. People can't take that jump to looking at UFO cases in a serious light. They belittle it.
Yeah. It's like artistic license, they call it, don't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. I don't know why people can't take the UFO issue seriously. Some do. There are people that do. But I don't know if the average citizen takes the UFO issue seriously. I don't know. I think a lot of them don't. But that's just my opinion. I see both. I see people that take it seriously, and other ones just kind of blow it off and make fun of it and or don't even look at it at all. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have any other interest in the paranormal? Are you interested in the ghosts and hauntings and things, or is it mainly just UFOs?
Mainly just UFOs. I like a few other fringe topics like the Bigfoot scenario, Loch Ness Monster, things like that. Yeah, because I grew up fascinated by dinosaurs. So the idea that ancient species or unknown animals may exist in nature, I find that fascinating. But as far as my research, it's all UFOs.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the Yeti or Bigfoot is actually linked to UFOs, isn't it? So you don't know. Is it some sort of or even interdimensional stuff, isn't it? It's linked to it. Same as our Loch Ness Monster, because I had Malcolm Robinson over on a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you heard it, but he was talking about the Loch Ness Monster, and we went into the interdimensional aspects of it there on that show. Yeah,
I heard that program. It was good. You're right. There's UFO cases that have a Bigfoot component. I don't know what to think of them. They're what Dr. Hynek used to call them high strangeness cases. They're not just a nuts and bolts daylight disc. They're cases that border on the paranormal. I don't know. I'm a pretty grounded guy. I have no idea what's going on there, but it's fascinating how some aspects of the paranormal tend to bleed into each other.
Oh yeah.
Some UFO cases are so bizarre, they bleed into other things. And you got crop circle enigma and cattle mutilations and things like that. If there's a connection, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's always fascinating discussion.
So how do you feel about the crop circles?
Yeah, I was asked this last month on another program. I don't know. I saw.
You're like me. You tend to want to believe it, don't you? But
I'd be fascinated if they were trying to communicate with us using structures put into or carved into crops. I don't know. I haven't read enough about it. I've seen a few programs. I have a couple of books on it in my archives, but I don't know. I know there's a lot of hoaxes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
A lot of hoaxes.
I think the thing is, when we go back to the ancient aliens again, some of the designs that have been made at Tiahuanaco and all that sort of places in Peru, makes you wonder about the designs that you see there and the designs you see in the cornfields. You know.
It does. Because
ones that you can only see from the air. It's.
Yeah, and there's some that aren't explained. There's some that are clearly hoaxes. There are some that are examined and proven to be hoaxes.
Oh yeah.
But they defy explanation. So that by itself makes it fascinating. I don't know what's going on.
Join the club. It's like I always say, there's no experts in this field at all, is there?
No. The term UFO expert is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No.
But it's thrown around a lot. Yeah, but I guess crop circles is more of a European enigma more than the States.
Yeah.
It happens here occasionally, but it seems to be much more in the British Isles than here in the States.
It's like I always say, we're all trying to learn from each other, aren't we? Or you'll know a bit, I'll know a bit, and somebody else will know a bit, and we try to put it all together and come up with some kind of an answer to it all. But so we never do.
Yeah. Well, that goes to the question you asked me a while back about how the UFO community, as far as research, can improve. Researchers can talk to each other. That would be a big help, because somebody in France or Britain or Peru or the States might have some answers or some data that's fascinating. If they talk to somebody across the pond or somebody from India or somebody from Japan who might have similar data, that goes a long way. But I think a lot of researchers, a lot of groups don't really do that. They don't talk to each other.
Yeah, they just keep it to themselves within their own group. So I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, if they communicated more, I think that would be a big help. Yeah.
Do you get you still get a lot of cattle mutilations going on over in the States? I know we get them occasionally here.
They're still reported, but it really doesn't make the news other than local outlets. I mean, if there's a cattle mutilation, and I recall I was on vacation in Colorado about 8 years ago, and there was a mutilation that happened outside Colorado Springs, and it made the local paper. But it doesn't seem to be as well. I should rephrase that. There may be mutilations going on, but they're not reported in the media as much as they were before.
Maybe it's so commonplace now that people just got used to it. And but I mean, to me, that's pretty weird, because they do seem to be kind of cut by lasers, don't they?
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. It's become commonplace. So it's not anything out of the ordinary, because it's happened so often. People say, "Oh, it's another cattle mutilation, no big deal." why spend the money or the time reporting it in the newspaper?
Yeah. And of course, it's not always just cattle, is it? It's horses and sheep and all sorts, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, the majority is cattle, but yeah, horses, other farm animals, other farm mammals. It happens to them. But it's like crop circles. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, there may be a UFO component to it. I don't know. There's enough unexplained, parts of that scenario, the blood loss, the lack of footprints, things of that nature that make it fascinating and still a mystery.
Yeah.
But if it's connected to UFOs or some other paranormal enigma, I don't know.
No.
I mean,
but a lot of them are too clean to be animal attacks, aren't they? Most of the time. Well, they seem to be anyway.
yeah.
Because I mean,
Predator,
when you
much more.
like, see if it was a tiger attack or something, they'd be ripped to shreds. Well, they seem to be so cleanly killed, if you like.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, a wolf or a grizzly bear or a brown bear wouldn't leave such clean cut marks. There would be blood at the scene. There would be destruction to the body.
Yeah. In fact,
but there
wouldn't even be a carcass left. I don't think they'd take it away, wouldn't they?
That's true, pretty much. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And we get to the point of the people that go missing as well all over the world. There's quite a few people. It goes into thousands, doesn't it, over the world? I've always wondered if there's any sort of UFO connections to that. You do hear about.
You do, yeah. There's thousands of disappearances that are unexplained. Maybe they were suicides, kidnappings, people wanting to disappear from their lives. Certainly explain some of them.
Yeah.
Could there be a UFO component? Could they be, let's say, alien abductions where the abductee is not returned? I guess that's a possibility. I mean, there's no proof that's not transpiring. So, but you're right, there's thousands of people that are reported missing, and it makes me wonder immediately how many people go missing and they're not reported.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I think in a lot of the third world countries, people go missing. I think they're probably just not even thought about or mentioned, are they? You know, it's but
no, yeah.
But how the people can just go missing and there's no sign of them at all? They just sort of they disappear off the face of the earth. It just beggars belief, really.
Yeah, because a lot of these disappearances don't happen in like national parks or sometimes it happens in a city.
Yeah.
If it was in a national park or some area that wasn't developed, my mind immediately thinks, okay, predators and scavengers are going to take the body. If this person died, vultures and coyotes and wolves and things of that nature will take the body. They'll devour the evidence. There won't be anything left to find. But a lot of people disappear from urban areas, and that's a lot harder to explain how a person could just disappear without a trace. It's still the majority probably something mundane in nature. They were kidnapped or they decided to leave their lives and relocate somewhere else, and the majority probably are assigned to that explanation. But just the numbers are fascinating. The thousands of people just disappear without a trace. That's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, well, it's terrifying in some respects, isn't it? You know, when you think about the amount of go, when you actually look at the figures, you know.
Yeah, I imagine it's terrifying for the families they leave behind.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you least like about ufology? Is it the backbiting and everything? It's
yes.
I know it's an easy answer, but.
It is. I mean, I have friends that I disagree with completely.
Yeah.
But we get along just fine. It's just those individuals that they just want to backbite. They want to ride your coattails. They want to call you names. They just, I don't know why that happens, but it does. It's, I just brush it off. I either block them on Facebook. Actually, I don't have anybody blocked on Facebook other than that one gentleman. I'm using that word gently. The gentleman that made the comment about yourself and Peter, I blocked him. But beyond that, I have no one else blocked on Facebook. I just don't interact with them.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of that stuff going on. That's probably the thing I like the least about the UFO community.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And I just, if someone's going to act like that, I just don't interact with them.
No,
so.
I know what you mean. I mean, the thing is, I've been blocked by certain people because of the investigation we were doing. They just want to shut us out. So.
Well, yeah, I can imagine so. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody would block you. You're a gentleman.
Well, I try to be. I mean, to be honest, I had lies told about me a little while ago that I was using swear words on Facebook. I've never done that. I did use an F word in a private message to somebody, which then was put on Facebook. Yeah. But that was because I was very annoyed about something, and that fella had no problem with it anyway. So, that was just that's because that's all they could use against me, really.
Yeah. I have one friend on Facebook. He's a very grounded guy, and he sent me a photograph. I guess he screen saved a thread on Facebook where a couple of guys that have unfriended me were making lewd comments about me. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't think I'm two-faced. I don't think I'm this, that, and the other, but they had this opinion of me. I thought, well, I mean, I can't help what people think about me. I mean,
that's right.
But it's kind of bizarre how that happens.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean,
Well, I mean, people don't know you, but then they sort of make a judgment against you. I don't judge people until I actually know them. And I've judged people wrongly in the past as well. They make judgments of people that they don't know or people they've never met in person. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. Yeah, they make horrible comments. I wouldn't make some of the comments I see on social media. I wouldn't make about my worst enemy, much less somebody I've never met. Oh, exactly.
But yeah, it's out there a lot. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Hence the rules in my group.
Yeah. I mean, I've always found you've been pretty straight talking and honest in what you say. I've never seen anything where you've insulted anyone for any reason. I know you would usually pull up people on insulting others or using bad language or whatever. There's just no need for it. I agree with you.
No, I would never do that. Yeah, I would never insult anybody. If I disagree with them, I would tell them, well, I disagree with you, and that's it. I would never insult anybody. No, I wasn't raised like that. So.
No, me either. I was brought up quite good. But,
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I mean, what do you like the best about ufology?
Oh, the friendships.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, the friendships. I mean, I look forward to going to Roswell every year and talking with the researchers and authors, emailing them, keeping in contact with them, building friendships. People I know in the community that are cordial and friendly, and that's great. I love that. And you don't need to agree with them. They're just your friend. They have different positions. They believe in different theories. None of that really matters because you're friends. I love that. That's the best thing about it.
Yeah. I was going to say exactly the same thing. Even if there's people that you've never met, you do become friends on Facebook. I know it sounds a bit silly. You do become friends on Facebook. You do get to know people, and eventually, hopefully, you'll you will meet them. The same as you and I. This is the first time we've spoken, although we've known about each other for a couple of years at least. And and we're friends now. You can call me anytime, William.
Yes, that works both ways. Yeah, that's the way social media should work. People from across all areas of the planet can build friendships, even though they never meet in person. Yeah. They can interact, and that's a good thing. It's unfortunate that you have people that misuse it to attack people.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. I mean, hopefully I'll get to meet you face to face one day. We'll see.
I think that will happen.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever come over to the UK, do you?
I never have, but I've been invited several times, so at some point I will make that happen.
Right. I mean, I'm running a conference this year, in September actually, for Colonel Holt. Colonel Holt returns to Woodbridge. That's in reference to the previous appearance at Woodbridge, where there was a big hoo-ha about it. And Peter Robbins wrote a book about it, which he's since withdrawn, and they've all become friends again and everything like that. And I mean, you've probably heard all that story anyway. But
it's good that you just bury the hatchet.
Yeah, that's right.
You make things work. That was a good thing.
Yeah,
that's a good.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was music to my ears anyway to know that all these people have been got back together again. All these people that have fallen out over certain issues.
If they can, the fact that they buried the hatchet, they're getting along again, that means they can move forward and start investigating some more. They can keep working, they can keep pushing forward instead of kind of nipping at each other's heel.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
You got any other radio shows lined up?
I think I'm going to appear on Radio Wasteland out of Redding, California in about a couple of weeks.
Oh, right. If you can send me links, I'll put them on my Paranormal Dimensions page. And
I read that. Yeah, I'll be sharing your stuff too. We got to help each other out.
Yeah.
So
I'll put certain links and things from yourself on the page and everything, so people can find you and your groups and everything. I'll put some links on there.
I read it. Right.
And,
yeah.
And a few pictures of you. Want to send me a few pictures? I'll put some pictures on there.
I'll send the ones that are the least ugly. We'll go with that. Yeah. I'm not really enamored with how I look in photographs, so I'll send you one.
Oh, we all sort through them and find our best ones, don't we?
Yeah. This is true. You're being very kind.
No, I do the same thing, honestly. In fact, when I listen back to myself on these radio shows, I think, do I sound like that? And I think everyone thinks the same thing, though, don't they? Same as when you see your own pictures. I think you think, I don't like that picture.
Yeah, I recall the first radio program I appeared on was Radio Wasteland, I guess January of last year. And they sent me a CD copy of the program. No, a friend of mine recorded it and sent me a CD copy of it. And I played it, and I thought that sounded horrid.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone likes the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, they asked me about 3 different cases. I mispronounced the researcher's name, and I got a year wrong in a case, and I thought I should know this. I was upset with that, and it wasn't a big deal, but yeah, we are our own worst critic when it comes to pictures and programs and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah.
What about conferences? Are you going to many this year?
Just Roswell. Just going to the festival. I'll probably arrive a full week early and do some broadcasts on my blog from the festival and meet and greet with the researchers and hopefully take Don Schmidt to lunch and catch up with him. And I know Kevin Randall will be there for the first time in about 7 or 8 years. So it'll be interesting to catch
that'd be good. Yeah, fantastic.
Get him in a while. But beyond that, no. My day job as a tennis coach, my scheduling prevents me from going to other conferences. So it's pretty much Roswell.
I didn't actually know you were a tennis coach.
Yeah. Local high school here in San Antonio. I'm the head tennis coach, and so my ability to travel is kind of stunted.
Yeah.
Except during the summer, I'm off like 4 months of the year, so that's when I get to go to conferences, and so it's really just Roswell this year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you ever play John McEnroe?
No, I saw him play live, but I've never met that gentleman. We'll use that term loosely. No.
He's all right.
I grew up watching him play. Yeah.
He's all right. I quite like him actually. He's quite funny because he comes over here for Wimbledon. He seems all right. I think when he was a tempestuous kid, he was just that tempestuous, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
He just has his own opinions. He's kind of temperamental on the court, but he's a good announcer. When he was working in Wimbledon every year, I like his announcer. He's pretty spot on.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, that's a bit of news to me that you're a tennis coach. Yeah, good luck with that.
I bring it up. I've only been doing it like 30 years, so yeah. Worked out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's funny what you find out about people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we all have our own attachments, and we discover each other through common interests of the UFO phenomenon.
Yeah. I mean,
as we touch base, we learn more about our own personal lives and how we pay the bills as opposed to our interests.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, tennis is probably about the only sport I actually follow quite regularly. I don't watch football. Yeah, our British football. Or much really. That's probably tennis is my first love in sport. But
excellent. Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Bjorn Borg play Wimbledon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. John McEnroe, that fantastic match. Yeah.
Yeah, they would broadcast it on PBS here. They would broadcast the BBC broadcast. every year. And I grew up watching that long-haired Swede play that crazy American on the grass. Yeah. Classic matches. Yeah. So, but I've been doing that for decades, and I love my work. It's interesting that I can discuss the UFO issue at work. Because I arrive at work early for a couple of hours just to hang out with the coaches and touch base and just see what's going on at the campus.
Right.
And they ask me questions about the UFO issue.
Oh,
they kind of know I'm the UFO guy.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. Anyway,
yeah, they don't want it. They're interested in it, which I like that. That's a good change of pace.
That's fantastic. Anyway, on that note, William, I'm afraid we've run out of time. So I'm going to chop you off there. And once again, thank you very much for coming on. It's been fantastic talking to you. And I'm always here if you want to ring me anytime. And hopefully we'll speak again. And
I will be in touch. I am at your service whenever you want me on your program.
That's great. Thanks, William. And, as I say, I'll put some links on the page and everything. And hope you'll come visit and speak to you again shortly. Thank you.
Cool.
Anyway, everybody, thank you very much for listening. If you've tuned in, if you haven't, then, well, you haven't, and that's the end of it. And, I'll speak to you again next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Paranormal Dimensions is as bright and powerful as our celestial star, the sun. And although it's expending thousands of pounds of energy every minute of the day, have no fear. There's plenty left.
Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network.